Behind me is the Dell, which is arguably the most scenic spot on UVA grounds. However, the Dell hasn't always looked like this, as throughout history, the state of the Dell has been in constant flux, from being a natural stream, part of farmland, and even home to a golf course, before being pushed underground, and then finally resurrected back to the surface. This video intends to explore both the storied history of the Dell, along with giving you a sense of what it's like to be here. To dive into the history, we first have to understand what the Dell even is. This map from 1935 shows the historic course of Meadow Creek, the upper highlighted portion of which would eventually be used to create the Dell. Tracing the water's path, we pass through the Dell, briefly go underground near UVA's central grounds, and then meander along Meadow Creek's bends before joining the Rivanna River. Meadow Creek and UVA's histories are intertwined, with the upper section being originally bought by Thomas Jefferson to serve as a source of drinking water for UVA. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the grassy embankments I'm standing on would have served many purposes, from being part of a communal garden to even hosting a golf course. However, with the wave of construction in the 1950s and early 1960s, at UVA, the Dell began to be seen as a liability, taking up much desired real estate. The result of the construction was that the creek disappeared as a surface feature, as Meadow Creek was forced into underground pipes. A map from the 1980s shows this change as the whole upper section of Meadow Creek is non-existent. While hiding Meadow Creek in pipes allowed UVA to build several fine living and recreational spaces, several unintended consequences soon arose. Without the creek, surface runoff had nowhere to drain, creating a swampy mess. And to make matters worse, invasive plants soon colonized the disrupted ecosystem. The Dell, and Meadow Creek as a whole, were in a truly terrible environmental position, and it would take significant work to restore it. By the 1990s, the dismal state of the Dell was noticed by UVA, and it was selected as a potential candidate for stream daylighting. To those who don't know, stream daylighting is the process of unearthing a stream that was covered up by urbanization. By the early 2000s, work was underway at the future site of the Dell. It was an ambitious project. The goal was to restore over 1,000 feet of Meadow Creek, create 2 retention ponds, rain gardens, and plant the whole area with native plants. It required collaboration, as university personnel, the State Department of Conservation, scientists, planners, engineers, and laborers all had to work together. Yet, by 2004, the construction of the restored Dell was finished. The restoration was a success beyond the university's wildest dreams, as it greatly reduced pollutants and created a new space for students and residents of Charlottesville alike to enjoy. However, I've only told you one side of the Dell. As to truly appreciate it as a space, you need to look closer for the hidden stories here, instead of just glossing over the broader history. If you were paying attention, throughout this video, I've only told you the history of the Dell, and you could hopefully recite it back to me. However, you have no idea what it's actually like to be here. So, in an effort to show you the Dell is more than just its history, let's take a walk. And here we are. We are at the beginnings of the Dell as it emerges from a pipe under the street. So now, let's walk back to where I was before. Here we have the stormwater retention pond. When we have especially heavy rain events, the water overflows into those grates and goes back underground. However, that typically only happens every 2 years. While you now might be able to give me a general description of what the Dell is like, you still lack any of the particular details which really gives a sense of place to a location. So in this next part, we're going to focus in on our surroundings and look at the individual stories the Dell has to offer. Even now, we've only scratched the surface of what the Dell has to offer. So I hope you come out and explore the Dell, or your own local waterway, to both see the history behind it, along with look for the individual details that give it its sense of self. Thank you for watching, and I hope I see you guys out there.